Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Rule number one, if you're trying to make videos and you have dogs around and they want your attention, don't kick them out. Just let them start in the video. So, this is just going to be a more relaxed session, I guess. So today I'm going to review the movie Blink Twice. So Zoe Kravitz, I know I'm butchering her last name's pronunciation, but Blink Twice is her first movie directing, and she did have a small part in it. And so this movie was pretty interesting because there is the main theme that you have in it, but I think there's also a second sort of hidden tone for this movie as well. And so this movie, taken at face value, was very interesting. It was engaging. It had a pretty neat plot twist. I liked how the pacing was. It didn't feel like it stuck on one moment or story for too long. So overall, I thought this was a really interesting movie. The thing is, there are some really tough subjects in this movie. This movie, if you've seen from the trailer, essentially what happens is the men abuse the women in this movie, in pretty much every sense of the word. And so, although this movie doesn't show anything that would be graphic, the stories of what happens or happened to them is very clearly implied. And so, there is actually a warning before the movie actually starts playing that it warns if some people have gone through something like that. It just warns them that there are some very tough subjects in this movie. And so I thought it was interesting they put the warning in there. I thought it was just sort of something that it felt like, I feel like Zoe Kravitz wanted that in there, because, like I said, some sensitive subjects in there. But as a movie, I thought it was really good. But yeah, if you think about the themes, it's really dark. It's really tough. And so, the way this movie sort of plays out, its plot, is we have basically these two starter characters, Frida and Jess, and it doesn't exactly spell out maybe what their financial situation is, but you assume they're going to go on these vacations that they just can't afford, and they end up hosting at this party or serving at this party, and Channing Tatum's character Slater King is there. He was this huge millionaire, and he, now he has this resort. He's known for his parties, and so he's there at this party, and he starts, something happens where he and Frida are just sort of hitting it off, and he invites her and her friend to come to his private island where these legendary parties take place. And so the men abuse the women in this movie, but I think the secondary tone that can be sort of noticed in this is the way the men handle what they do is almost a rich versus poor in the story as well. And so, like I said, there's some really tough subjects in here, but it was handled very well. I just, it's not an easy watch, but it was cool. And so, as I'm trying to get to the more lighthearted side of this movie, uh, so he invites these girls to his private island, and for these two girls who want to go on this dream vacation, they want to get time off of work, they want to just get away. Well, here he is inviting them, so it's like a dream come true for them. So of course they accept. They go to this island, and this is where things start getting weird for them. They're noticing there are already clothes there that fit them just perfectly. There's, it's almost, it's no cell phones. There's no technology. It's almost, for a horror fan watch this movie, it's like, yep, something bad's gonna happen. It's just the way it's set up. And so, in this movie, we have Slater King is the one that runs this island, but there are several other characters with him. These other guys, and then there are some other women. I forget the exact amount of characters, but I think there's just as many guys and girls in this movie. Each one have either a friend or spouse or what have you that is there, so it's pretty much even. And so, for this movie, one the punchline where I believe it's either in the first third or the second half, where one of the girls ends up, she disappears. No one knows where she went. But the thing is, only one character remembers her being there. Everyone else doesn't even remember her at all, which is weird because, as one of the characters mentioned in the movie, you'd think that someone would remember a whole nother person being there, especially for presumably, I'm going to guess, a week or more. This movie doesn't show how long they've been there as the movie progresses, but it's implied it's not just a few days. And so, as this sort of propels the rest of the reveals and the rest of the plot twists and the rest of the story as it all unfolds, I really liked just sort of the direction it took because it made things feel more intense, but it also became more important to the characters and more sinister plot twists. And I just really liked how it went from the simple, party where these people are just getting along to now it's essentially themes of a horror movie. And so I think it progressed really, really well, and it kept your interest pretty much through the whole thing. And so the big plot twist is the characters are finding out that Slater King, he's using the this perfume that is making them forget. So they're essentially raping these women, and then they'll forget about it. So they can do it over and over and over again, while at the same time they're also forgetting bits of their yesterday, which the next day they forget some of the things that happened yesterday, and that sort of leads into how they are okay with being there for so long because they're being, there's constant alcohol, there's constant parties, it's by the pool, it's just, it looks like this grand time that they're having. So why would they care about what day it is or how long they've been there or how long they're going to be there? Then, a lot of the characters just stop caring. So of course our main lead, Frida, she's the one that's questioning everything and trying to get others to remember and finds out eventually how to get them to remember. And once the other women do start remembering, this is where it becomes, I would say, almost like a horror film. Only because in slashers for horror, you have characters are slowly dying off one by one, and that's kind of what happens in this movie, where you have characters dying off one by one, and it's I would say it's third act is when this starts happening, and of course when that starts happening, everything's getting more intense. It's a little bit more violent. It's never really gory and bloody. It's violent, but it's not over the top. And so, as our characters are dwindling, you get to this. It's building a climax toward Frida versus Slater King, and it's in this final act of the movie that Channing Tatum has just a phenomenal acting performance. He's done really well in movies before. And I hope this movie just shows how good of an actor he is to people so he can keep getting roles like this because I think this is a strong suit. This is not some blockbuster. This is not some comedy movie at all. This is not some superhero movie. This is just something sort of grounded with a real story with a little bit of a plot device to make it interesting. But I think it's being mostly grounded. I think this is where Channing Tatum sort of thrives in these kind of roles. And so I really liked his acting a lot. I think he did a really great job. If you've seen the movie, you'll know toward the end, one of the things he says, one of his lines, it's just, you're just sitting there in a theater, or if you watch it at home, wherever you watch it, you're just sitting there thinking, wow, how is this guy not in everything yet? So he did really, really well. And as we come to this climax, you assume you start to assume which characters are going to survive, and the ending sort of throws a wrench in that. Something else happens that I didn't see coming, and it was really interesting because it's almost the way it ends. It's satisfying, and so where the way this movie ends is you have Frida and Sarah are the two characters left that survive this now fire. And so as they're leaving the building, I loved the video. I'm losing the words here. I'm an idiot. The way it was shot. You see these two characters that have now survived, presuming everyone else is dead. And as the camera zooms out, you see she actually saved Slater King. And you have no idea why. But the punchline is in the end, he ends up, or she ends up using, I'm guessing, the perfume on him. So she keeps him in essentially the submissive state where he'll do whatever she says, and he's sort of stumbling, he stutters a little bit. She keeps him on a leash, metaphorically. And so he's not really in a position of power anymore to take control of his own actions or his company or his money or his life. And so she ends up marrying him, and now the company that he once had is now hers. So she goes basically from, you know, just wanting this vacation, she can't afford a vacation, to now she's running this super large company with basically everything at her disposal. And so it's satisfying seeing her victory after seeing what she's gone through and what the other characters beside her had gone through. So the ending, it is a lighthearted ending. It's sort of eerie keeping him around because it sort of gives that intense dread. I don't know if this movie's going to get a sequel. I don't think it really needs one at all. If it gets one, I'll be very surprised because I think this had a great ending. I love how the character sort of comes full circle, and the ending was just interesting. You just assume Slater King dies in the fire before when Frida survives. You assume this is some standard movie where she just survives, but she does more than that. She thrives and becomes powerful from it. So I thought it was really cool. The hidden messages of these women not only surviving but gaining that power. There's a lot of undertone themes to it. There's some some obvious themes, some hidden themes. This movie just sort of hit multiple different points, and I think it hit different real points that I think a lot of people could relate to. Obviously, I don't think there's some amnesia perfume mind control thing out there, but the rest of this movie, for being pretty grounded, creates these relatable scenarios for people that unfortunately some people, they go through stuff like this. And so it felt like it was written on a very human level. The characters were treated with respect, and the acting was really good for this movie. So overall, I liked it. I thought it was cool, something different. It's not your typical horror movie. I don't think it's supposed to be horror. It just sort of had that horror slasher theme toward the end. But I think the implications of the story alone can be comparable to horror because of how unsettling those stories are. But like I said, we do get this lighthearted ending, and so it wrapped up nicely, and I liked how it ended. Like I said, the acting was great, the directing was great, the plot twist I didn't see coming, so I liked it. If you guys see it, let me know in the comments. I'm not hearing a lot of people talk about this movie, unfortunately, but I think that once people do see it, I'm assuming once it ends up on whichever streaming service it's going to end up on, more and more people see it, and then people will probably be talking about it then, and hopefully we can get these actors and actresses more recognition for their role in this movie because they deserve it. So, thank you guys for staying with me for this review. I will see you guys next time.